Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Build an Iconic Life. I'm here with a dear friend of mine, Kyle Reed, and I'm telling you what, this guy is a young entrepreneur. He's absolutely on fire, and if you want to hear his story, here is where we're going to do it. I'll see you on the inside.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Chris Whitehead. And this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in. Hey, Kyle, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm well, Chris. Appreciate you bringing me on. It's been a moment since we've had a good conversation, but man, I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that you're here. You're a busy boy these days.
Yep. But you know, that's the way. I think that's the way it's going to be for years to come, which is the way I like it.
I know. Well, first of all, before we really get going into your story, give everybody a little bit of an idea. Who is Kyle Reed?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I'm a farm kid at heart. Grew up racing motocross, being outside, doing snowmobiling things out in the good old state of Colorado. Moved down here to Arkansas, and that's basically where I've been for about the last 8 years. And I'm now married. I have 2 dogs, no kids, and my wife and I are able to be traveling substantially due to what she has going on, and myself as well, being able to be very flexible in what we're doing. But yeah, man, just a owner of 2 businesses that are rocking and rolling, a husband and a couple dogs, and a good old family dude. That's basically me in a really quick nutshell.
So if I would have asked you 2 years ago who was Kyle Reed, what would that, besides the beginning part of being the country kid and having the fun outdoors and moving from Colorado to Arkansas, what would have been different in the story?
Yeah, basically the fact that I was a corporate person at the time. That's the biggest change. You know, I was working in a corporate position inside of a very large, one of actually the largest steel company in the world, and so that's exactly who I was. That's effectively different than now. You know, I was in a corporate position. I was using the training and the knowledge that I had prior to that to essentially grow and escalate in a career. So between now and then, essentially that's the big difference. Going out on my own.
You were doing really well though too. It's not like it was a dead end corporate job. You were like, how old are you right now?
I just turned 31.
Just turned 31.
Yeah.
So somewhere around 26, you were making 6 figures a year, right?
That's correct. I actually at 22. Yes. And I say that, you know, not to brag, but I had set myself up well. My parents helped me set myself up well as also. You know, I went to school for engineering, and it was a very specialized engineering degree. Then that's what carried me down here to Arkansas, and worked for a company down here. Started off, you know, just right out of school, and then next thing you know, it was a few months later, bumped right up into a couple leadership positions, like right after, you know, starting, and then essentially from there just started growing. And yeah, I want to say it was, now granted, I hadn't made that 6-figure mark by 22, but it was basically you extrapolated out to a year and it was there. And so, you know, from 22 on, that was, well, until I left. Yes, absolutely. It was there.
So the question is, like, you basically have a dream job. You're not working 100 hours a week. You're not getting screamed and yelled at. You're with a company that is the number one in the world at what it does. I mean, by all measure, and you're still riding in boats. You're still having your fun. I've seen the videos.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So tell us, how does somebody that's living in that kind of success? I mean, some people say, "Oh, you're not very grateful, man." Like, you decide to risk everything to start a business? Why?
Man, I've got goosebumps. Literally got goosebumps. So we got to kind of take a step back a little bit. So I essentially was on autopilot and I was just cruising. It was easy. It was super easy. And, I would get up every morning. I would drive my 40-minute drive to work. I would work, and it was easy. I was in by halfway through that 6.5 years at that position. I was in basically more of a leadership role than a doing role. So, I was leading people. And at that time, I started doing a lot of self-development. I got into, podcasts like MF CEO with Andy Frisella. And dude, I just soaked myself up in self-development. And it wasn't anything that I had ever done before. All my self-development would have been more like college related. And so, I just started getting intrigued by this thought of being a better person. Then my last couple of years, the position that I held, I was I was basically responsible for the redevelopment of the operating system running this organization. And that's not easy. By no means is that easy. And it was a beast to tackle. There was a lot of things that we had to cover over the course of years. Of course, you take a $26 billion a year operation, and that was what we were heading on, if you will. It wasn't easy.
Big ship.
That's huge. And so, then I'm kind of fast forwarding through a lot of this logic, but then from 2017 to like 2019 is when this development and all this, like, I was just on autopilot, dude. I'd get up, I'd go to work, and then I'd come home. And if they needed me on like a Saturday or a Sunday, cool, no problem. My boss, dude, my manager, this comes back to how easy I had it. He'd come in on a Friday morning, 10 o'clock. He says, "Hey man, what's Chelsea doing today?" I'm like, "I don't know. She's probably at work." Like she always is. "Well, why don't you just go ahead and head home? Go, get the house set up for her. Take her on a date tonight." So 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, my manager was like, "Hey, you've done enough for the week. Get on out, go enjoy your life," kind of deal. And that was a normal thing. Or it was maybe like on a Tuesday afternoon, 3 o'clock. He's like, "Hey man, go pick up your wife and take her to dinner." So it was easy. I'm definitely thankful for it because it gave me a lot of flexibility for sure. Now, at the same time, I was at a spot. I was like, I can honestly, what it comes down to, I was like, I can do this on my own. All these things, this leading of people, I've learned so much from these guys, and I was forever thankful for it. I will always be forever thankful for it. I'll never talk bad on the corporate life for me because it gave me so much learning that I was just like, well, I can take this and I can do it on my own. Now, that was not as easy as it sounds. That was a fact I learned really early on. But that being said, COVID rolled around and things started changing within the culture, if you will, because of COVID. I think everybody in this world experienced that. I got the opportunity, I call it an opportunity, to work from home for about 4 months. But now you take a guy who was essentially at work leading people to send him home to lead people. So I structured my day to where I had a meeting in the morning, a meeting in the midday, and a meeting in the afternoon. And I had full flexibility to do whatever the heck else I wanted outside of that time. So I started learning about, more business, marketing, building sales funnels, all the CRMs, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, what I'm doing with this big operating system really over here is just a very small version of this. It's simply just a multiple or a magnitude, multiple magnitudes different, but it's still the same concept. So it's very easy for me to pick up and learn. And then I came home one day, I told Chelsea, I was like, it's time for me to leave. So I took a small opportunity for about 9 months, actually, between leaving that corporate position to going completely out on my own. That led Chelsea and I down here to Little Rock. And there was some things that kind of came up at that position, and also just growing what was a side hustle at the time, but really growing into a business. The business needed my attention, and I wasn't able to give it as much attention. And so one day, and I think you remember this, there was a very clear moment in time. I'm not going to go into the details on it, but something happened. I was told one thing, and then something else come back. It bit me in the ass. It pissed me off. I called my wife on the way home. I said, I'm quitting. And she's like, we're not ready. I'm like, fuck no, I am not ready. Like, the only thing ready in me is the amount of money that I have in the bank account to protect my ass in case I fail. That's the only thing ready. Clients that I had, replacing my income wasn't there 100%, but I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to risk it and I'm going to take on and I'm going to see if I can get it done. And that was end of July of 2021. And it had, it hasn't slowed down since. So,
Well, you had done, but here's the thing. If people can listen to the thread that you're going down, you are engineer minded, which means you count the beans. You go, look, this is what creates success. Even through this transition, you left a couple clues. Like you started listening to leaders on podcasts. People that are listening to this are the kinds of people that are looking to gain information. So you're setting your mind up for this idea of there's something more. That's what I heard.
Yeah, 100%.
What I know that you did is that while you were still in your corporate position, you're networking. Mm-hmm. You're learning more. You're building rapport with as many people as you can inside of an active network of other people that are looking to hang out with like-minded people. Correct. So there's a thread. You go to college, you're very specific in the degree, you find the opportunity, your parents set you up, which, by the way, everybody, listen to this. Kyle's going to be the kind of parent that sets his children up because he had an example of parents that set him up. Think about this. What happens when your life is not about you anymore and you start thinking about your legacy? And so through this process, Kyle, you're like, you know what? Instead of jumping off of a bridge and figuring out how to fly on the way down, which, by the way, you had to fucking do anyway, you set yourself up to the best of your ability, because I know this. I do remember that time. I also saw how you started doing marketing a little bit different.
Yeah.
Things you started sharing out there, things that you saw us like help you create a wheel. And instead of you reinventing a wheel, you were like, no, I'm just going to put 3 more on this thing so that I can take it down the road. You smoothed the wheel out. And I don't want to get into anything specific that you did, but it was brilliant what you started doing. And you did it. You and I were tightly connected at that time. Our little group was one of the first groups you showed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go do this thing. Well, it led to immediate leads for you.
Yeah, it sure did.
And it has not stopped since. But this idea of you preparing yourself for the inevitable outcome that you think is coming has been consistent, not just since you've been an entrepreneur. It's been consistent in your life. And it's allowed you to have success. Nobody has, like, very few people have the level of success that you've had as quickly as you've had it.
Right.
But you stacked wins on top of one another.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're in the process of continuing to do the same thing. What were you going to say?
And the other thing is while the wins increased, the sacrifices increased as well.
Explain that.
Yeah. So when I left corporate, this is when I was in corporate. I say this not to put it out as a flex, to put this out to, if somebody wants somebody to understand that if they're willing to go through the hard things, to basically go through sacrifices now to eventually get 10 times of what they had prior, then I believe it's worth it. So when I was in corporate, and you knew this, dude, I had the houses, I had the toys, I had the vehicles, multiple vehicles, boats, like $100,000 plus wake boats, was at the lake all the time, traveling, yada, yada, yada. I literally gave it all up, every single bit of it. Like, I sold the house, I went down to one vehicle, I got rid of my boat, which Chelsea and I still wonder if that was a good decision because, it is what it is. But that being said, I got rid of all of that. So that was basically, start of sacrificing. And then, man, we just downsized. We literally just went through. So, Chelsea and I are making more money and doing better now than we've ever done by multiples, if you will. And we literally just got rid of our 4-bedroom, 2-bath house and downsized to a 1-bedroom apartment. Tell me that doesn't make sense in a logical world. Now, what the listeners may not know is my wife travel nurses, and she's gone all the time. So I don't need, personally, when I'm here 5 days, 6 days a week by myself, I don't need a 4-bedroom house for me and 2 small dogs. And I don't want to have to take care of all the things that come with it. I can focus that additional attention to the business, the things that I need to focus on while she's gone. Then that way, when she's home, it's just her and I. We can spend time together, knowing that, 18, 24 months from now, the lake house that both of us have in our mind comes available, or the property that we have in our mind comes available. This 1-bedroom apartment saved us, a lot of headache to essentially, we can just bounce, we can go. we're free at that point to essentially make a big transition because of the sacrifices that we've made now. So, like it might seem odd on the outside, like this dude says he's doing so well, and then he's got his office set up in his living room at his house, like in a 1-bedroom apartment. But it's a sacrifice that we were willing to make to essentially help propel to that next level.
The other thing too, when I was growing up, the big flex was, you have the house, you have the corporate building, you have the, little plaque on your desk with your name embossed in gold, and, power, 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 power. The new flex now is I can do whatever the fuck I want whenever I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can provide value and you can do it from your living room versus having to drive in your $75,000 vehicle with gas that keeps fluctuating up and down, to then go sit in an office that you're paying for the building to, like, dude, who pays for that? The clients pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And people are starting to understand values more important than pompous stuff. The other sacrifice that I think would be interesting for you to communicate a little bit about, I remember when you were telling me that Chelsea was considering becoming a travel nurse.
Yep.
Y'all had not done anything like that before.
No.
It's a hell of a sacrifice to not see your wife 5 days in a row. It's a hell of a sacrifice. I've seen you get on planes to go visit her.
Yep.
On almost every weekend.
Yep.
What's happened to y'all's relationship in the process?
Yeah, man. She travels, every week. Sometimes she might have 2-week trips. So, she's there over a weekend kind of thing, and I'll get actually into the details on a trip that we got coming up, which is, it's crazy how when you put things out in the world, how they actually come to you. I swear to God, I swear it works every freaking time. It's insane. And so that being said, as far as, like the way that it's helped us, it's interesting. I'm going to be totally like, me, I'm blunt and just transparent. Yeah. Our sex life is incredibly better. Oddly, I think it's because, you limit, and then boom, you're together. And then you limit, and then boom, you're together. Not only that though, like we FaceTime every evening for 1.5 to 2 hours. So we're kind of hanging out, but we both understand, and I made a post about this morning. We both understand that the sacrifice of her traveling and being gone for 5 to 6 days a week, flying out Sunday, coming home sometimes Saturday, and then flying again Sunday, or coming home Friday like she is today, basically Sunday afternoon through Friday evening is go time. Like it's time for me to bust my ass and get my shit done, because when she steps off that plane to when I take her back to the airport, it's our time kind of deal. And so that's actually dual-sided of the benefits. It's really given me, I have to focus. Like I have had a problem with focus. I like bounce around and I'm just doing all these things. Well, now I know I have to get my shit done while she's gone, because I'm not going to do it while she's here. And then at the same time, I'm going to focus on her while she's here. So now it's given me the ability to understand how to give her the attention she needs when I'm in the presence of her, if you will. Other than that, man, I mean, it's just helped us grow. I think we communicate honestly 10 times better. So it's weird. I would not wish this on a lot of people, because it's not easy. By no means is it easy. But at the same time, we look at the things that we want to do and the sacrifices that we were willing to make in order to get this, the life that we want. This is a piece to that puzzle, if you will. Now, like you just mentioned, I can bring value wherever I'm at. And I want to go home for Christmas. I've been like, we need to go home, like to Colorado for Christmas. I haven't seen my family like for more than like 4 hours, hopping through Denver or something like that in about a year. And so I'm like, I need to go home for Christmas. Chelsea may or may not be able to go. Well, I'm going to live in Colorado the entire month of December. So I'm going to go out there December 1st. She has a 3-week assignment there. And then, it's going to butt right up to Christmas, and then she'll probably fly out, and I'll probably just stay in Colorado between there and New Year's, and then come home after New Year's. So And I'm able to take my like this laptop right here and, my camera and all that, I get to take it with me and I get to do the things that I need to do wherever in the heck I'm at and, still go support her, spend time with her. But, it's just, it's been tough. There's no doubt about that. And a lot of people, man, they reach out. They're like, how's this working for you? I think if you understand what we understood is there's a goal at the end of this that we want to sacrifice for this goal. She's, truth be told, she's making a shit ton of money and she's stacking a shit ton of money so she can start putting into investments that can start replacing that income very quick. And most people never obtain this opportunity. Like I've already had this opportunity and I'm going through it again. Now she's getting this opportunity. So it's setting us up. So we understand that even though we only get to see each other, 36 hours a week, if you will, most times other than the anomaly, or if I fly in, if she's in a 2-week stay over the weekend, a year from now, 18 months from now, things will be a lot different and we're willing to make those sacrifices.
There's a level of intentionality behind what you and your wife are doing that success is not something that you hope for. It's something that will come, and that gives you the motivation to do the work or go through whatever sacrifice you have to go through to do it.
Yep.
Now, the one thing we haven't talked about, because we're going to wrap this up here, we haven't talked about what you actually do. And I know what you do, and you're very, very good at what you do. And there might be some people here that want to reach out to you because of that. What is it that you do now for a living?
Yeah. So to make it nice and quick and easy, and then we can expand on this a little bit as we go. But basically, I've got 2 different companies. One of them is essentially a smaller supportive company of the bigger one, which is the logo that I've got on TimberLion. We develop CRMs, custom-built CRMs for mostly service-based businesses, home service-based businesses, roofing companies, plumbing companies, deck building companies, HVAC guys, all that kind of stuff. Our focus, though, is really on helping people get for one, sales and marketing aspect that they need, tying in the customer experience that we've entered into a different world now. People expect communication, they expect results in an extremely quick manner. And so our systems help our clients essentially achieve that without them having to do it. And so, leads coming in, our systems are having conversations with these leads without the actual owner or the team having to do every bit of that communicative piece. And then, further automating, going into the depths, automating everything like their scheduling, their contracting, their payments, seamlessly including all that into essentially a one unified platform. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the result is that we save people time and we get them more money. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, I tell you what, for somebody that's owned businesses for as long as I have, I can tell you that anytime that you can automate communication and it's effective and consistent, you can produce a consistent result. And it's been one of the hardest things for me as a business owner to find people and train them on knowing timing, on remembering their promises, because ultimately that reflects on me as a business owner. And I know that because I'm the one that has to deal with that conversation when it doesn't happen effectively. And the most beautiful thing about what you do and why I wanted to highlight you, it's no surprise to me that you have success because you think along those terms moving along. And the reason I wanted to highlight you is because in a world of people that do digital marketing, it's about as bad as contracting, like remodeling.
Yeah.
There are a lot more people that do it very poorly than do it well. And you guys do it really, really well. And to be able to do that, and it touches my heart, to be able to do that for service-based businesses, elevates the game for all of us, and it separates the posers from the players. So dude, keep doing what you guys are doing, because you go to depths that most people won't for your clients, and helping them to be effective at exactly what you're talking about. And the beautiful part about it is it means 30 years from now, it'll become the new standard. And that's proper evolution, brother.
Yep.
If people want to get out, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, man. I've just made it nice and simple. Just KyleGReed.com. Kyle G as in greed, KyleGReed.com. That's the easiest way. That's rather than me going through all my social links and all my numbers and all this stuff, that's the easiest way. That's basically a unified location to essentially hit all my social links and everything like that. I am most active on Facebook, which is linked on that page. And then, of course, putting content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram as well. But Facebook is going to be the primary source of communication for me. You can get there from that site.
Well, brother, we're going to keep following along and seeing what you guys come up with next. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate
a lot of what you do.
Yeah.
Of course. Anytime I knew you before you started, and what has been beautiful to watch is everyone, when they start a business, gets enhanced. You're either going to enhance your flaws or you're going to enhance the strengths that you were building beforehand. And I've watched you magnify who you are. I've seen it transverse over into your relationship with your wife, and everything Iconic is about faith, family, fitness, finance, and having some fun while they do it. You're an example of that, brother. And I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. The world needs to see more people like you in it. Man,
I really do appreciate that.
Talk to you next time, everybody, and we will see you, you know where, in the trenches.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey, friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.